Welcome back, everybody, to our YouTube channel, Money Strong, with me, Brett Fry. Again, I'm a wealth advisor here at Forterrace Wealth Management. Today, we want to tackle that old question of what do you do with your old 401k? So perhaps you've been negatively impacted by COVID-19 and laid off, or maybe you're switching jobs. So what are your options when it comes to that old 401k plan? So here's four general options. We'll discuss the first three. Either keeping it in your current 401k, rolling it over to your new one if you have a new job, or rolling that over to an IRA. Those are the three options that we generally see people doing. Cashing out that 401k, meaning taking a full distribution, that generally results in a hefty tax bill, and we really don't recommend that for most people. So we'll kind of focus on those first three here. So keeping it with your current employer, you can always keep it with your current employer. They can't force you out unless you have a balance under $5,000. So why would you want to keep it with your current employer? Well, perhaps you like your current investment options. Maybe your current employer's plan or your old employer, maybe they have lower expenses than your new employer's 401k or an IRA. So that may be one item to consider as well. A lot of people don't know this. A lot of people think that you have to wait until you're age 59 and a half to access your funds in your 401k, but that's actually not the case. If you are no longer with your employer and you're over the age of 55, you can have access to those funds as long as you're no longer with that employer, you're no longer employed there, and you're over the age of 55. You don't have that 10% penalty. This last bullet point, this net unrealized appreciation, or NUA, just know that if you have employer stock in your 401k plan, there may be some special tax advantages for you to take advantage of. So if that's you, definitely reach out to us. We'll do a follow-up video here on this net unrealized appreciation soon, so stay tuned for that if that's you. Items to consider: if you need access to a 401k loan, maybe keeping it with your old employer isn't necessarily your best option, because generally speaking, your old employer won't allow you to take a loan from your old 401k. Are the investment options sufficient? Maybe there's only a couple investment options in your old employer's plan. Maybe you have more robust investment options somewhere else, so certainly a consideration there. Non-deductible contributions. Some people contribute after-tax money to their 401ks. There is a couple special provisions you may be able to take advantage of. Probably makes sense for you to roll that to a Roth IRA. So if that's you, if you have after-tax funds in your 401k, certainly reach out to us. We can take you through that rollover process. Rolling it to your new 401k. If allowed, that's the key word here. If allowed, you may be able to roll over your old 401k to your new 401k. But that plan, your new job, your new employer, they have to allow rollovers from old 401ks. Reasons you may want to do this is perhaps you have better investment options or lower fees than your former employer's 401k plan. Perhaps there's an investment option that you like better than your old plan. Maybe a reason to roll it from old 401k to your new one. Also, needing access to a 401k loan. So generally speaking, you have to be employed with that employer to have access to a 401k loan. Rolling your old 401k to your new 401k, assuming that's allowed, could give you access to more funds for a loan. Last but not least here, don't overlook the power of simplicity. So we do see people that a lot of times they'll have 2 or 3 different 401ks. They don't really know where they are. Rolling all of those into one new 401k or an IRA could help simplify your overall financial picture. So definitely don't overlook simplicity there. Couple items to consider before actually pulling the trigger and rolling from your old 401k to your new 401k. First and foremost, does your new plan accept rollovers? If they don't, probably not a feasible option for you at that point. So that's kind of item number one to consider. Item number two, are the investment options sufficient? Just because you may have lower fees from one 401k to another or versus an IRA doesn't necessarily mean that the investment options are better or sufficient to achieve your goals. So certainly something to consider. Also, are there other features in your new plan or your old plan that you like better? Perhaps one plan allows for Roth conversions, another plan doesn't. Maybe that's a feature you're into, and it may make sense for you to roll from one 401k to another. So Certainly, every plan's different. If you need help looking at the features of your plan, certainly give us a call. Rolling from your 401k to an IRA. So you can go from 401k to IRA without any tax consequences. The only thing is you need to make sure if you have a traditional 401k that's going to a traditional IRA, a Roth 401k needs to go to a Roth IRA. Don't mix and match those. You could end up with negative tax consequences, so certainly be careful there. The main reason you would want to roll to an IRA from a 401k is you have more robust investment options. So a lot of times you're limited to certain investment vehicles inside of a 401k, whereas an IRA, it's generally self-directed, or perhaps you're working with an advisor that can help you manage that money in more robust investment options. That generally makes sense going from 401k to an IRA to achieve a more robust or open investment platform. Estate planning advantages. So a lot of times, if your money is in a 401k, a lot of plan administrators will just write a check to your beneficiaries if you unfortunately pass away. That's not necessarily the case with an IRA. Your beneficiaries can keep those funds inside of a beneficiary IRA. Now, they do have to take distributions annually called the required minimum distributions, but they can leave the money in an IRA, defer taxes for longer, whereas if it's in a 401k, some plan administrators will just send the beneficiary a 100% check, which will come with, again, kind of that cashing out, hefty tax bill. This mega backdoor Roth IRA, this is a fancy term, but essentially if you have non or after-tax funds in your 401k, rolling that to a Roth IRA can make a lot of sense from a tax perspective, also from an investment perspective as well. So if you have after-tax contributions in your 401k, certainly give us a call. This may be a good option for you to roll over to a Roth IRA. It's a very powerful tax planning tool. Items to consider before actually pulling the trigger and going from 401k to an IRA. Always be aware of the fees that you're going to be paying. So whether you're working with a different custodian, perhaps a Charles Schwab or a TD Ameritrade, certainly look into the fees that they charge on the account level or any trading fees that you may pay. Perhaps you're working with an advisor, just be 100% clear of what those fees are. Item number 2, are you able to properly evaluate investments? So, with great latitude and an open investment platform comes a lot of responsibility. Are you able to do enough due diligence on those investment vehicles that you're going to be putting your money inside of your IRA? Are you gonna do you have the proper training and proper time to evaluate those investment options? That's where having an advisor can actually help you select investment vehicles that are best suited for your needs. Finally, do you need access to a loan, or are you over age 55? Maybe there's some features in a 401k that make sense for you versus an IRA. So certainly something to consider there. I'll give you guys kind of the high level here. Pause for a second. Certainly take a deep breath on my end. But definitely, if you guys have any questions, do not hesitate to reach out. It is a complex topic. So there are a lot of intricacies in going from a 401k to an IRA or 401k to 401k. Certainly, don't go it alone. If you have any questions, here's our contact information. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be back soon with some more valuable insights. We'll see you guys soon.